because we have our monthly town hall. And so I want to take a moment here to introduce our guest, and I had it here, but now it's gotten lost. My goodness, hang on a second. You were here, you were right here, Armen.
You've lost his identity?
I did, or I stole it or something. My goodness, hang on a second. I think because I was looking up that book. Okay.
I was just about to introduce Dr. Wilds as our speaker tonight and surprise him, but you know.
That's not funny. Okay, so
not at all.
So we have Arustamov here with us. He is the founder and CEO of Silicon Valley startup Got It app, which is AI-driven internal dialogue mental app that helps people to overcome their mental challenges, acting as their own mental coach anytime, anywhere with the utmost confidence. And Armen is a former tennis pro. He's a psychologist and a co-founder of the Tennis Academy in Orlando, Florida. And Armen, just we did send out the 2 links that you were hoping that some of the students would view before your talk, and a few of them have had a little bit of talk about their experience with it. And so I'm assuming you're going to want to show a screen. Do you have a PowerPoint or something? Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can share my screen.
So I will make you a co-host. Again, everyone, I would like to welcome Armen to discuss with us this app that we think is very interesting.
Thank you, Cynthia. Friends, thank you for your invitation. We appreciate it. How much time I have?
You have an hour. Well, you have a little bit less than an hour now. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, first of all, my motivation to be here to share my experience and get your feedback and your vision on the auto communication or self-talk or internal dialogue problem. And I'm sure you know more than me in terms of science of this problem. Yeah, let's see. Just stop me anywhere, ask your questions, and I would love to answer.
I just want to recommend then, before you start, is to put that in presentation mode. I think it'll be easier for us to see your main screen. Yeah, there you go. Great. Thank you.
Perfect.
Great. So it's my investments presentation, but I will miss the slides which are related with financials and or something. So yeah, I'm a former professional tennis player, psychologist. I graduated Moscow State University, Lomonosov State University. It's a main Russian university. Also, I'm a former military cadet from Russia. I was born in Uzbekistan. It's a Central Asia. 15 years I was living in Russia. Then I'm co-founded the Tennis Academy in Florida, in Orlando. And for the 6 years, we accepted more than 2,000 athletes from 15 countries. And there, I totally understood that mental work with the athletes should be the same systematic and continuous, like physical and technical work, you know, in any sports, not only in tennis. And in the same time, I saw that there is no solution on this. There is some great mental performance coaches. They sell their courses, books, etc. But there is no like a practical solution which the kid can use every day. At night, for example, which majority suicides happen from 4 to 5 a.m., where the kids don't have a chance to go to the mental health professional or someone. Yeah, and then I graduated. I went to, after the Tennis Academy business, I went to Founder Institute, Silicon Valley Accelerator, and they say that, hey, your business is great. Yeah, and at that moment I created the online course for the mental health online course for the athletes. And they say that, hey, your business is great, but it's not scalable because it's related with mental coaches, you know. And then I just chose only one mental technique from 80 mental technique, which I use in my online course, and created this app. So in this internal dialogue mental technique was one of the most demanded mental technique from 80 tested. So what we see right now, according to the last NCAA research, rates of mental challenges of student athletes and their non-athletic peers increased by 250%. It's official data. So loneliness, uncertainty, anxiety, fear of losing athletic conditions, etc. All these things make a huge pressure on our new generation. And in the same time, which we see working with more 2,000 athletes in our academy, we see that they don't want to solve this problem and seek help by mental health professionals because the topic is stigmatized, because the service is pretty expensive and not full-time accessible. And in the same time, there is a bench of a lot of mental health apps. I'm sure you know Calm or Headspace mobile apps. Right now, it's a $1 or $2 billion valuation, $1 or $2 billion valuation company right now. But all these guys, unfortunately, are working like a YouTube channel with pre-recorded video or audio lessons and without interaction with you as a users. You're just listening or watching the lessons, and that's it. And yeah, they suggest like a non-customized app-made solutions. And we decided to solve this problem and created the internal dialogue mental app with AI customized user-made solutions, or when the user talk to themselves like talk to another person to get stress-breaking insights and to solve their specific personal situation. So actually, this app allows user to act as their own mental coach, developing their natural human mental resistance. And I will show you some short video after this slide, how it works. So first of all, it works like a role-playing game where you talk to yourself from mentee role and then from mentor role. And you can use like 3 secret sources: modified voice, which distancing you from yourself; AI analyzing user emotions and content of your internal dialogue; and customized hints guiding you how you ask and answer, you know. And I would love to share with you the video. Maybe someone didn't see that.
The app will also change your voice so that you can distinguish 2 people having a dialogue. To start, tell about your difficult situation and ask the most troubling question for you now. For example,
I feel lonely and anxious because of this terrible social isolation. I don't want anything. What should I do?
now you change your role and become a mentor. Listen to the mentee that needs your help.
I feel lonely and anxious because of this terrible social isolation. I don't want anything. What should I do?
As a mentor, you can talk with mentee using only questions that you think will lead mentee to the solution on their own.
Could you tell me more about your situation and your feelings?
Then you change your role again. You are a mentee now, and you're listening to a mentor's question with their unique voice.
Could you tell me more about your situation and your feelings?
Try to answer exactly the mentor's question.
I am at home almost all the time. Monotony and uncertainty with the COVID-19 situation stress me so much.
I am at home almost all the time. Monotony and uncertainty with the COVID-19 situation stress me so much.
What have you already tried that helped you overcome this feeling? What have you already tried that helped you overcome this feeling?
If at some point you don't know what you should ask or answer, you can get hints with samples of powerful questions and advice, guiding you on how to ask and answer effectively to keep your dialogue going,
etc. So that's pretty, I think, simple system is working. And right now the AI system is pretty expensive, and right now we don't implement this in the like a full like a how it's supposed to be, you know. But right now we have some standard guide with samples of questions and advices how you should ask and answer. But we are fundraising now, and after fundraising we're going to implement the AI to make the customization of the guide, which teaching you how you should talk with yourself. So yeah, about the validation, I'm sure it's very important questions. How you know that this is an effective method, etc. So what we see, for example, from American Psychological Association, many articles about internal dialogue, like a CBT method, cognitive behavioral therapy method, and this method is working, and it allows overcoming anxiety, depression, loneliness. And what is important that, for example, 1 from 3 Americans right now experiencing the anxiety, but only 37%, I read yesterday, only 37% try to treat it, try to overcome this. And I hope that our app will be the first step for the people to start getting like a professional help, you know, to start pay attention on this mental issues. Yeah, and also, as I mentioned, we tested 80 mental techniques with more 1,000 athletes in our academy. We accepted 2,000 athletes, but we tested this mental techniques with around 1,000 athletes from 12 to 20. And for the 6 months, we sold them online for more than $100,000. So it gives us like a, we understand that it's demanded, and internal dialogue was one of the most demanded mental technique from 80 tested, because the young people, what we see, they don't need any mental health professionals, and they don't ready to work with them on the first step, at least. So we have right now we have around 1,000 downloads with great video feedback from professional athletes, student athletes. For example, one of the professional athletes told me that if you play tennis and miss the ball, you just lose. But if you on the race car and you miss the turn, you just die, you know. That is very important for them to pay attention on the mental issues, mental health situation. Our model, like we plan to work with the platforms, with colleges. By the way, I would love to work with Saybrook too, with colleges and organizations like sports organizations and health organizations. And right now we have one partnership contract with County Sports Zone. It's a Maryland student athletes platform with more than 100,000 participants. And Healand, it's a 3 million patients clinical trial healthcare platform. Some French guys from Singapore. It's a Singaporean company. And also we have a preliminary agreement with Stanford, with some of the professor for validation research. I'm not sure that I'm going to do this research, especially in Stanford, because I feel that it will be pretty expensive. But anyway, they're interested in, and we'll see about the conditions. So what else? Yeah, I think the last of couple of slides, like you see our competitors. This mental mobile health market, it's very hot right now. But as I mentioned, there is a several types of our competitors. You know, as I mentioned, like a mental health and meditation apps, like a content apps. That's the first. The second, it's trackers, which tracking your mood. And the third one, it's AI bots or AI friends, like a replica AI. which gives you the same ready-made solution. For example, you say, oh, hello, I wanted to kill myself. What should I do? You know, and sorry for that that's example, but anyway. And he said, oh, don't doing this, think about something, blah, 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 you know, and they try to customize this. But in the replica, for example, you say you get the same ready-made solutions. And nobody do, no, yeah, sorry. And there is the last one, it's a marketplaces, which connect patients or like a clients with mental health professionals. So, and we think that we are different and nobody does internal dialogue. Actually, our user is creating the content and solution of their personal situation during the using the app. That's our competitive advantages. So I told about myself already. This is our team. For example, our CTO and co-founder, he's one of the main AI and tech guy in Samsung America. And we have another Russian hackers, which is doing pretty well. For example, Dmitry Zaitsev, he's created this version, iOS version of the app, which you can download in the App Store, just putting the Got It Live or internal dialogue. So we have some first investor. He's like a experienced Silicon Valley VC, and he's our advisor. And we started getting the science advisors, and these people are very, very experienced and known people. For example, Charles Sophie, he's a psychiatrist of Hollywood stars. He's a former head of Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services, which is the biggest county department of children in America. And he's a board advisor of the Dr. Phil show. I'm sure you know this show. And yeah, pretty experienced guy. And also Paul Billings, the second medical advisor, our medical advisor. He's a chief medical officer of Natera. Natera is a $9 billion valuation company. He's not a psychiatrist. He's a he's a doctor, but we want that these people gives us access to the medical society community and doing together like validation researches, you know, we plan to build the science and medical advisory board, etc. Yeah, and what else? Daniel Seberg, he's a CNN, NBC guy, he's a journalist, ex-senior marketing executive of Google, and another financial guys. So I think I missed this slide. We launched just in August 2021. We're testing this app all the time, getting the feedback, try to get the money for all of these things. And after the fundraising, we spend the separate time for devote more validation research, etc. Yeah, thank you for your attention. That's it. And yeah, I would very appreciate it of your feedback, your ideas, and your questions.
Thank you. That's brilliant, because what most people who have mental health issues really suffer from is self-esteem, because they don't see that they can get through whatever it is that's challenging them. And then even with studies on resilience, people who have been in the worst abusive situations, the thing that gets them through that's different for survivors versus people who don't survive is their ability to kind of mother themselves or coach themselves or talk to themselves as if they're that uber caring person that makes them special. So when we're missing the skill of talking to ourselves in a positive way, we're missing the skill of success. And if our parents don't teach us this, we don't have it. And you're providing a digital parent. I love it. You know, we have to parent ourselves. That's the uber message. If we don't learn that, we don't succeed in those higher levels because we don't know how to push ourselves when faced with defeat. So athletes know this the best. So you're the best, you're an awesome candidate to have this notion and know that this is real, because you can't do more than you think you can without telling yourself you can. So it's awesome. I love it. I think it's great. And that's what CBT is about. But when we present CBT to kids, especially adolescents, which is my specialty, it's like you have to, we teach them to come up with things to replace these thoughts. It's not about replacing thoughts. It's about having an actual dialogue with yourself that's positive, or, addressing the challenge itself versus already accepting defeat. And there's enough negative self-talk to go around to, deflate the whole planet right now. And so I think this would be such a great solution, especially for low-income people.
Gotcha, Bonnie. Gotcha. What do you think?
Armen,
Yeah, sure.
you gave such a short clip on what you're trying to do with mental health, but it sounds like you have this system all worked out for athletes, especially tennis folks. Is it very similar? Is your current project very similar to what you have worked out for tennis players?
Tennis players and athletes in general are our early adapters.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Have you got the system more worked out for them? Can you talk a little more about how it's functioning for these folks?
They want to win competitions and to control their emotions. And especially in individual sports like tennis or golf, where a coach cannot give you advices during your performance. They are totally alone. And I remember myself, you're like a crazy, you're talking to yourself all the time because you don't know what should you do in this very moment. And this self-talk usually negative and uncontrolled all the time. And we suggest like a tool to control this self-talk at least before or after performance.
So are you building that concept into the current project for mental health of replacing negative self-talk with positive?
I guess so. We don't have enough data for this to say, yes, but I guess so. I think so. Yeah.
Well, I
Curious.
mean, I think Rich, what I think is different about his product is it's not replacing negative self-talk with positive. And we know from experience that maybe that's evidence-based practice, but it hasn't been working. And I can attest to that, because it's a pattern, it's a habit. We talk negatively to ourselves, but this app makes it interactive. So you come up with solutions. It's not weighing it negative or positive. That's what I got from it. So it's solution based. Is that right?
It's solution based, right? Because only one simple thing based on this app. You have all answers on your most troubling questions already in your head, and you just need a tool to extract them. And I don't understand what is positive or negative self-talk. What is a positive? I understand what is a productive self-talk for me. When I say, hey, you are very stupid because you should do this, this, and this. It's negative, but it's productive for me,
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't teach a kid to say, hey, I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm that, when they don't believe it themselves. They have to come up with something productive, constructive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So how there's no real, like AI in there, right? There really is just recording yourself and allowing yourself to hear it back, right? Is there any kind of like a data set that you're collecting or anything like that?
What we have right now we have a modified voices. When you talk, when you're recording, when you right now download the app, you will recording like
Yeah.
a mentee,
Yeah.
mentor, and it's a different, they will modify your voice. Mentee say on the high level of voice, and mentor low level, like
Right. Okay.
And also we have around 15 mental issues, and we have some around 15-20 special advices to these mental issues. You just choose the mental issues and get the special pre-recorded advices right now. But after the fundraising, after we get money, we will implement the customization, and you will get the mental advices and hints which you need for your personal situation.
Right. But there's no correction. Like, for example, if you record something in there that says, man, you'll never be smart. Like if somebody puts something in there that would really be negative back talk or talk or whatever, it is what it is. Whatever they put in there to record, there's no correction like you might get from a human, right?
Yeah, no ready-made solutions.
Okay.
Just advices how you should ask yourself.
Yeah.
And by the way, the app tell you that you cannot talk. You can talk with yourself only with help questions. No advices. Like a therapist talk with the client.
Yes.
With the questions. The same. We want to teach people how to be their own mental coach.
So if you put something in there, if you ask to record something, is there any algorithm in there that would not allow certain talk?
There is no some algorithm yet.
Okay.
But we plan to implement it.
You do? Okay, yeah. Because I mean, excuse my language, but I can say you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
So it's not being disqualified at this point.
Because that is what you'd say in a therapy session too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I say it every 5 minutes to myself, so I definitely need this app.
or the person record that, hey, I'm stay on the window right now.
Yeah.
And in this moment, app will give you the phone of service, suicide service, which you can call, or the app, like this call will appear automatically to this person. It can be real technically. We can do this.
Do you recommend this? So I'm sorry.
Sure.
Do you recommend this as an augment or an adjunct to clinical intervention, or are you thinking that this could be a standalone modality?
A great question. Our challenge is define what is it's a mental performance app or it's a clinical or mental health app.
Yeah.
Right? So right now it's a mental performance app. Right now it's our first step.
Okay.
But we plan go to the mental health for sure. We don't plan to replace therapists.
Right.
For sure. It's a different thing. We plan just involve more people in the therapy with our app.
Right. Well, there's ways that you can set up these apps so that they can only be used by referral of a licensed clinician. Where it's a licensed clinician that unlocks the license, and then it's a great adjunct to at home when they're not in the clinic.
Yeah.
And you get back into the scalable issue though, in terms of
Right.
available.
That defeats the purpose of of giving someone a tool that doesn't require, weekly or, bi-monthly therapy
Exactly.
sessions that can be cost prohibitive. I think that in the performance world, there's overlap in the mental health world, because that's what people who suffer from mental health are missing. And then people in the performance world just go too far with their self-trashing if they're not succeeding. So it does both. It seems it would, like, it could be a great tool. It doesn't necessarily replace therapy, but it might help a lot of people that might not need it if it's the one thing missing in their life. I really feel like a lot of what boils down to mental health problems is self-esteem. And the more ACEs a kid has, negative childhood experiences, teaches them negativity, but they're internalizing it. That's what they're responsible for. And I'm not saying they're bad or they're wrong, but they're internalizing things in such a way that they repeat it. If you teach a person to internalize things in a constructive way, oh, well, I feel crappy today, but why? Oh, well, what can I do about it? What did I do about it last time I felt crappy? Oh, yeah, that's right. I have a skill. I can actually talk myself out of it. Oh, I could go for a walk. Or, but if you impose that on them, it feels like dictator, like you're dictating it.
Yes.
Armen, you mentioned that you're looking at universities for relationships anyway. Could you talk more about that in terms of what you would like to see in terms of a coordination with universities?
Yeah, sure. Right now, our app is totally free, and we interested in involve more people as we can and get the more feedback from the users. And I'm ready to provide the app for free for Saybrook, for Stanford, for any university, just for feedback from you guys, like professionals, and from students. Right now, I'm communicating with mental health professionals, which I get the feedback, and I ask them, could it be like an additional professional tool for them, for using them in their personal practice, professional practice. And yeah, that's our challenge.
Before you came in, we were talking about the dissertation process, and if there's a period in a student's life where negative self-talk is likely to come creeping in, it'd be nice to tailor make it to the surviving a dissertation.
Yeah. And by the way, it can be the great lead magnet in terms of marketing, for the mental health professionals too. They say, hey, this just tried this app. You mentioned about your anxiety. You don't want to buy my service like a mental health professional, but just try the app. It's for free, etc. And the second step, if university or a health organization want to customize this app, for example, they say, hey, doing something for anxiety or for, I don't know, depression, we can do this, in the like a commercial collaboration.
Curtis, I don't know if you're still out there or not, but you do a lot of work with human performance with the military environment. What were your thoughts on listening to this?
Hey, everybody. No, it sounds really great. I'm not sure how many of the Saybrook students that are on the call are in the human optimization track, but a lot of this sounds really echoes a lot of the integrative wellness coaching program and the courses that are there. So kind of what I was thinking is I would love to kind of get their take on some of this, because it's very reminiscent in terms of powerful questions and you're being your own therapist or your own answers really. So I'd love to kind of see a collaboration with the integrative wellness coaching consortium as well, and that would be a really great opportunity to maybe beef up some of that potential AI in terms of response and question. So that's kind of where I was thinking was, wow, yeah, this sounds very similar to kind of the end stage of that certification that Saybrook is offering. So that might be a great way to kind of cross communicate our departments. I don't know who the head of the wellness coaching is anymore since I've been removed, but that may be an opportunity to kind of collaborate.
Great. I want to ask you, Franz, anybody using the app already? Did you have a chance to download and using this? Maybe you share your user experience.
I did.
Cool.
And yeah, this is Duke, and my background is engineering, so I jump on this app right away. So two things I think I can contribute is one part of it is the user experience design, UXD. I know you very small company, so that's a big contribution to the app or success, to any product, I guess. So I think, the way that I use it or interact with it is very early stage of the development, I guess. So there's no UXD consideration or more attractive, get more users willing to use it or attract. I mean, just like, people attract when they play in game. So the same thing with the products, you want to get the users, like the app more than just, so far I follow the instruction, but I think it's be useful if you have more graphical or, I mean, it's UXD is a big part of app application. That's what I try to say. And then another part that I try to understand, and I think Dr. Cushon tried to get to, is the artificial intelligence part of it, and you already mentioned it, if you get more funding, then you will look into that. And I think part of AI is machine learning too, right? So the more data you collected and the more you make it more intelligent, then that, I think that another part of UXD too, to get the user more involved with the product or get hooked to use your products, to use your apps. So I think it's all part of, I get the next phase of development, I think.
Gotcha.
And then one question I have, I thought about this similar apps, and I don't know, you look into self-hypnosis. Maybe Dr. Will Mark can elaborate on that, how this similar or, get closer to self-hypnosis idea of, because you can use hypnosis to do a lot of stuff. As far as I know, I learned, recently. So you can use that to change negative thought, even, taking care of diseases, stress management. So a lot of idea from self-hypnosis could be used for this kind of product.
So there's also an opposite part of that, because a lot of with self-hypnosis, what you're doing is it's self-talk, but it's self-affirmations and things, it's self-statements and things. This is more of the, the providing the questions and things, rather than actually the, the more of the Emile Coué's original self-talk. His was, every way and every way and every day I'm getting better and better. But there are lots of affirmations that we could use to counteract Cynthia's contention that we're all idiots, depending on who you were talking to at the time. But there is, I was thinking that too, as I was listening to the back and forth, that there's, at what point would an affirmation of some kind of reassurance get in there? And my other question, I was seeing Michael on the call here, is, I wonder, do jet pilots talk to themselves when you're flying?
I know, I was thinking of that too.
Well, probably not consciously while you're flying. I guess to your point, like from the professional athlete standpoint, is kind of how they pitch it to us is, when you're in the event, most of it's happening unconsciously or is a result of pre-mission preparation, and we call it chair flying, the sortie before you actually go fly it. So it's a lot of the self-talk that happens before the briefing and in the debriefing, where you're seeing it played back to you, a recording of the flight, and oh, I screwed that up, and oh man, I'm just the worst, you know. So I think the positive self-talk piece, and Dr. Sherman and I had an exchange recently where it was an idea I wanted to write for a paper, find what literature exists on psychophysiological changes that happen in the body with self-affirmations or trigger words and that kind of thing, to get after the theme that we've been getting at for the last couple of people who've spoken, which is, you know, where the data collection piece and having what happens in the body with these types of mental self-talk kind of programs.
Yeah, I want to echo that as well with within sports, and you know, the Olympics are going on right now. That I think, you know, you hit it right on the head, that a lot of this negative self-talk or kind of reflection time is going to be after the event. So it's either after you've completed, like you said, in your tennis match, you're on your own, you're coaching on your own. So it's very interactive, dependent on what type of sport and sport environment you're in. If you're a biathlete and you're skiing in the Alps, you know, you've got no interaction with anybody. But if you are in front of a stadium of 70,000 people, that's a completely different mindset that you're going to be in. So I think it's a really great idea to kind of tackle that decompression type time that you have as an athlete. You know, when you're sitting at home by yourself and all the lights are gone and all the fans are gone and you're decompressing what your performance was that day. That's where I think a lot of that rumination can start creeping in. So it's a good opportunity to tackle that. So that's really great. I'm excited to kind of see that AI component as well. If there are certain trigger words that kind of help along the way to kind of get you out of that spiraling element, if you kind of find yourself in that way.
Yeah.
The good news is that professional athletes don't really need negative self-talk anymore. We've got social media for that.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually a really great, you know, comment. You know, I've got a lot of friends and colleagues right now that are over in Beijing, and every single one of them, you know, there's a huge push right now to remove themselves from social media, you know, a few weeks before the games and then during the games as well, because that is a huge component. You know, so now our relationship with technology is no longer positive. Now I wonder how somebody will interact if they're technology inversed, you know? So it's good that you're not hoping to replace the humanistic and human interaction, but just complement it. So it's great.
Interesting. Yeah.
I was getting interested in the sound of the human voice. And you know, there's studies that say that the sound of your own mother's voice is self-regulating, and that you can actually help a lot of developmental disorders by getting someone to listen to recordings of their mother's voice, because it replaces stages that they may have missed, and or helps them work through things that maybe didn't develop as well. I don't know much more about it than that. You know, I listened to, I think, a audio book that hinted at it, but I think there's a center out there by Porges. Is that right?
Steve Porges.
Yeah, Stephen Porges. The Unite and the ILS, which is the Integrated Listening Systems, comes from that research. That, you know, that maybe there's research on frequencies that would be good to use. I know you use like high pitch for the mentee and lower, you know, pitch for the mentor, which is probably a good general choice. But there might be something about frequencies. You know, when a mother talks to a child in an affirming way, does it hit a specific note? And then if we learn to talk to ourselves that way because we've imitated that mother and internalized it, that could be the key.
Well, that's important in education. You know, the lower voices can be more relaxing, but that may be detrimental to education, where a higher voice keeps someone more alert and focused. So, as a teacher, having a higher voice may be a slight advantage. If you listen to a lecturer with a deep bass voice, it can kind of lull you into a, theta is okay, but getting someone into delta is not usually considered a good learning technique. So,
well, you're not going to get with your voice alone, you're not going to get someone to change their frequency in their EEG, but you might, you also have to think about if there was some kind of a trauma with someone who had a deep or a high voice, you can say things like, oh, and let's imagine that you're on a beach. Well, what if you were raped on a beach? You have to keep all of that into perspective, I think, as well.
But that's content. But I would imagine that our own voice would have some similar pitch or quality to our ancestors, and that in some way that's already good enough. But just the research behind that might add something that isn't there yet.
Right. Yes. Interesting. Very interesting.
Some of the validation research in psychotherapy is mainly about the social interaction and the relationship between the therapist and the client. So even there was an article in the AAPB journal about how to bring that to the neurofeedback session. And some of the success is based on that social interaction. And I don't know how you can replace that with AI, but if there's some kind of gamification system with that, some kind of rewards or points, or I don't know how that would affect it, but I mean, it's an interesting idea, and I think it would be a good adjunct for between sessions.
Well, certainly a lot of our patients need to improve their relationship with themselves. So maybe this would be a start to that. So.
Yeah.
Franz, I want to ask you the questions about your personal experience of self-talk. Could you tell something about this? Do you have some?
Who did you ask?
Me, Armen.
Oh, no, who are you asking that? Anybody?
Anybody, yeah.
Anybody?
I do. I have experience with that. I mean, I've always talked to myself, and and I mean that to be funny because it already is funny, but it's true. So people will say, why do you talk to yourself? And I say, first of all, because when I hear myself say it, it's like thinking it twice. You get feedback. And so for a person such as myself who had ADHD growing up, there were a number of things that would make it hard for me to focus. So if I talk to myself throughout the task, I can reinforce staying on task. And then that carries over into when I feel overwhelmed. So working on my dissertation, I feel overwhelmed. And instead of getting nauseous and, whatever, what a child would do, throw a fit and quit, I just go, okay, you can do this. And it's just what comes from myself to myself, because I have to stay on task. But it's just been a trick, I guess, that I've adapted to succeed, because I've always hit the roadblock that maybe other people don't have trouble with. And so I have to talk myself through it. And that's worked for me.
You say the words, or it happens inside of you?
Both. Sometimes I'll just sit there and hear myself say it to myself, happening. It's silent. Other times I'm actually talking myself through the process. And my stepmother, who has ADHD, talks herself through everything. She walks around the house telling herself what she's going to do next. And hey, whatever works. But I find that it helps a person stay focused, because you're hearing yourself repeat what you intend to do.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Is it one of the techniques that I learned a long time ago? If I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the things I try to do is first to smile, and then to think how fortunate that is, because I've got absolutely nothing else have to do at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I can practice self-hypnosis, I can practice diaphragmatic breathing, I can practice all those techniques that I should probably do more during the day, but I don't take the time for. And rather than all the negative talk about what used to happen when I'd wake up 3 o'clock in the morning is how terrible tomorrow's going to be. I need my sleep. It's going to be an awful day. Part of the advantage working over a sleep lab is they really focus on the importance of rest rather than sleep. And so if I wake up, you can actually rest better if you're awake than when you're asleep, when you don't control anything. You can be tossing and turning when you're sleeping. So that basically the cognitive restructuring of what does it mean if you wake up in the 3 o'clock, that it's a positive thing and I get an opportunity to practice some of these skills so that I'll be that much better tomorrow is very different than the results if I woke up and stressed about how awful tomorrow is going to be because I'm not getting any sleep. So
or stress about not being able to sleep, or just being pissed off because, in my case, my husband is snoring and I have to yell at him, husband, stop snoring. And then takes me 10 minutes to not be angry anymore, rather than just kind of letting it be, I'm just, whatever.
My husband is still alive.
Well, I'm not going to go that far, but but yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll echo Dr. Wilmoth a little bit as well. And to your point on whether it's mostly external talk or inner talk, I find it's typically more of an inner voice discussion. And at least going through some of the most difficult trainings in my life, those things pop up, right? Where are you good enough for this? Or I think the biggest mental hurdle that a lot of people have, or at least it was for me, was getting over what other people think of you or your performance, especially if it's someone that you look up to, like a mentor, and you feel like you let them down. And to Dr. Wilmoth's point, it's typically a question of perspective, where for me, it was starting to read some of the old Stoic philosophers. You get your Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, where it's almost an inner dialogue when you're reading those, where you're asking yourself questions like, is this thing something you can control? Can I control this or not? Is my perception of this situation accurate, or is that me just projecting my own insecurities? And so I think it goes beyond just you're talking with yourself, and it's kind of with the it applies to just reading as well, right? Where you're kind of having a dialogue through a piece of paper with someone as well. So I could see the expansion capability of this kind of type of concept as well.
I think the first 40 years of my life was spent on avoiding failure. And it took a while before I could answer the question, like, what if I apply to graduate school and I don't get accepted? And it turned out the answer was absolutely nothing. I wasn't in graduate school then, so nothing worse was going to happen if I failed. But I think because of the way I grew up around a bunch of geniuses, not showing how bad I was a key factor, not how good could I be. So my first 40 years was all the negative self-talk. Everything after that was kind of in rebellion against the negative self-talk.
Good point. Yeah.
I have some concerns about, you are high intellectual people, and you say that, self-talk, it's cool, I'm using this. What about the regular people? What about the millions of Americans, Russians? I don't know. What about the majority? Do you think they are able to do this?
I consider myself a pretty regular person. I'm not one of the brainiacs.
She's elite, but not a brainiac, right?
I think that regular people would benefit from this just as much as anybody else. I think most people, believe 100% of what they say to themselves, it's negative, and don't believe the positive stuff or question it. Can I do it? But we always believe it when we say that I can't.
I'll never be able to.
Right. So, and I think that's universal.
Yeah.
When you're asking questions like that, the literature on how concrete people are, and can be, versus how mentally flexible, is probably worth reviewing. Because as soon as you start to get a very big audience, you're going to get some people who who can't ask the question and listen to the answer.
Mhm.
They're just like concrete blocks. And that interferes with therapy all the time. But I can see it really interfering with their ability to talk to themselves, because
I
they
think
don't
that's-
have the answers inside
Yeah.
that are easy to access for themselves. You know, it's all these people where if you have them rate their pain on a scale of 1 to 10, they can't do it because they're too concrete for that. You have to show them a picture.
I think that that's similar to hypnotizability, and also speaks to how important it is to be doing, if it's not for self-improvement or whatever, if it's really for a clinical intervention, how important it is to do it with a clinician.
Gotcha.
Well, we're at time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here.
Thank you very much, Armen. It was really a pleasure having you here with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting and thought-provoking, and hopefully we've given you some ideas with, that can help you to move your process and product along.
Sure. I send my LinkedIn link in the chat. Please ask the questions. I would happy to connect and make a collaboration. Thank you, friends.
Good luck.
Well, thank you. Good luck with it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sure we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Right on.
Bye, guys.
Right.